We were down in Orlando for 2 weeks in October 2023. Really, with any vacation, but especially a vacation that long, some things are not going to be perfectly magical. In this video, we'll go over some of the annoyances we had on our trip. Most of them are pretty low-key, not a big deal. I have one that still deeply bothers me to this day that will probably become quite the rant. If you're new to the channel, hey, I'm Jacqueline.
And I'm Adam.
This is Pixie Dust PhD. We talk mostly about Disney on this channel, dabble in other theme parks sometimes, but a lot on Disney World and Disney Vacation Club. If that sounds interesting to you, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. You can then ring the bell icon to receive a notification whenever we upload new videos. And if you enjoyed this video, please do hit that thumbs up button to like the video. It helps us out a lot. Starting with some smaller annoyances. When you're at Disney World in public spaces, so the theme parks or the resorts, whatever, and you're going to the bathroom, the amount of soap that comes out of the soap dispensers, I swear, is like 1/6 of the normal amount. You have to pump the thing like 20 times to get a usable amount of soap, which, like, considering the current state of the world, pretty ludicrous.
Yeah, malfunctioning soap dispensers, not a good look for a theme park.
It's not even malfunctioning, like, they're all like this, so I think that's how they want them to be, but like, can you just give me a normal amount of soap in like 1 to 2 pumps? Over to Universal, a thing that I found pretty annoying, that is weirdly like not talked about that much online from what I can tell, is that their operating hours are so limited. So we were there during Halloween Horror Nights, so we knew that that would affect things, but even on the nights where there was no event, they would close at like 7 p.m.
This was in the fall, so the sun did set around that time, but it's pretty crazy that they're not open after dark other than Halloween Horror Nights. I don't know if it's like a staffing issue, but it was crazy how limited those hours were.
Yeah, we've never done Velocicoaster at night properly, and that's simply because we've just never been to Universal during the winter since Velocicoaster's been open. We've gone in the fall time frame. So yes, sun is setting by the time the park's closing, but I mean, you would have to get in line like right before they cut it off, basically. And even then, it wouldn't be like a dark ride, I don't think. Also for Universal City Walk, we were interested in checking out Dead Coconut Club, which is the seasonal overlay for the Red Coconut Club. It's like impossible to find information out about that without just knowing people down there or maybe following like blogs or those types of, theme park news sites. The information available online through Universal is like, yeah, Red Coconut Club exists, check the app. And then the app is like, yeah, here it is. Like,
we're gonna open when you feel like it. We're not gonna tell you.
Yeah.
It was very much just like show up and hope they're open.
It's open on select nights and then apparently it gets bought out semi-often for private parties or corporate events or whatever. And there's no way for you to know that unless, I guess, you call or go in person, or maybe if you tweet them or similar, but it's just so frustrating.
Especially when you're a planner.
Yes, for a type A person like me, like I wanna see menus, like I wanna know if it's worth my time to go. Also, speaking of Velocicoaster, I don't really know exactly what's happening. I'm not a ride operator, I'm not that kind of engineer. But it was just having a hard time, like the whole time we were there. There was a point with which it was only running like 1 car on the track, then they got to 2 cars, but one of the cars had like 5 rows that were empty. And so the lines were just like unnecessarily long had, the ride been fully operational.
Yeah, that was very frustrating to see them like only run 1 car. They just there were some engineering issues or something that they need to get figured out. But yeah, it was very frustrating because we really wanted to ride the Velocicoaster on a frequent basis during our time in Universal, and we were unable to do so. It was also frustrating because we had a friend with us and they were waiting for us to go through the ride because they weren't a big thrill ride person.
Yeah, well, and like even with Express Pass, it was like 50 minutes just because they were operating at such reduced capacity. And like, I'm grateful they were able to operate at all, but the curious brain in my head is like, okay, well, what lets you run 1 car or 2 cars and 1 half empty, but not 3 cars? Or like, what is actually the problem here? And then also because I have those thoughts, part of me is like, is this actually safe right now? But anyway, we still got to go on Velocicoaster a couple times. It just wasn't nearly as efficient as the last time we were in Universal, and it strictly was because they were having these operating issues literally for the entire time we were there. Over at the Walt Disney World side of things, at the resorts, all of the laundry rooms are hooked up to a service called Laundry View, so you can go online to Laundry View and select where you're at and see the washer dryer situation. That being said, for the places we were staying, I didn't check everywhere, but the places we were staying, Laundry View was like not functioning. Just every machine showed up as unknown, so we had no idea like if machines were free or not. Which is not the end of the world, right? You just like go to the laundry room and check, and then run back, get your stuff, put it in, hope no one's taken the machine since then. But like, why even have Laundry View then?
Yeah, it's definitely not a high-tech priority for them to make sure that that sink is working. Very annoying to advertise something and just not follow through.
Yeah, well, and it's been broken for at least months because I checked on it during the planning phase so I could like put the link in our Trello board, in our project planning board for our vacation. So we could just click the link really easy. And when I was doing that, months in advance of us leaving, it said unknown. And I was like, that's weird. Maybe it's a one-off day. No, like it's just been broken.
So definitely go check the laundry machines yourself.
Yeah, in person. And it worked out for us because when we did laundry at the Poly, we were staying in the building with the laundry. So that was nice. But you can be staying in building without the laundry and then you have to like waddle your way all the way over there and check. And what if it's all taken? And I don't know. It's Laundry View makes it so much easier. And it like what button do they need to push or what switch do they need to flip just to like turn it back on?
Yeah, unplug it, plug it back in, guys.
That part. For the next couple things, we did mention them in passing in other videos, I think, but Merida is now behind a very big paywall. If you want to do a Merida meet and greet, you have to go to Cinderella's Royal Table. I really hope that doesn't remain true for very long because there just are no other options. Like everybody else at Cinderella's Royal Table, you can meet another way that's included with your park admission, to my knowledge. Like you can definitely meet Jasmine. In Epcot, you can meet Ariel. I guess she's like fish form Ariel, not land form Ariel, but you can meet Ariel in Magic Kingdom, meet Cinderella in Magic Kingdom, you meet Snow White, sometimes both in Epcot and in Magic Kingdom. You can meet Aurora in Epcot, and then, so everyone else is covered. Then you have Merida, that's the only place. And yes, I'm glad you can still meet her, but like, oh, that's rough. That's not good, buddy. And then additionally, just the online menus for Disney were not always synced up to the actual menus in the restaurant. And it's one thing if like an appetizer changes out because they're out of food that day, but these were definitely just true changes that were gonna be true every day. So whether things had gone missing, things had been added, or also prices changed, which like, if it's only a couple dollars, it's not a big deal for us. But I think if you are budgeting, then those things add up if that's happening at like every meal that you're eating.
Yeah, it was pretty inconsistent. I don't know how frequently they update the online menus, but I mean, that's what people are going by when they're picking and choosing where they want to go, or at least they should be if they want to get anything done. And it was just very frustrating to see that you arrive at the restaurant and you look at they hand you a menu and it's so different than what you thought it was going to be. Just very annoying. Hence this video.
Many resorts, even outside of Disney, are switching to those like wall-mounted amenities. So your shampoo, your conditioner, your body wash in the bathrooms and hotels. I'm totally fine with that. I'm like very big on reducing waste. I grew up in Washington State. I've been recycling my whole life. Like in my head, their ages ahead of a lot of the rest of the country. So the eco-friendliness of it doesn't bother me. I don't care that I don't get to bring home little single amenities. That's fine. My issue is that now that they're wall mounted, it's like another thing housekeeping has to check, and they're already so overworked and underpaid. And on a couple instances, we just didn't have any body wash.
Yeah, they were not refilled.
Right, and like that's a small annoyance. It's not a big deal. I will say, when we did get individual amenities, or in the hotels where they were still doing that, we never just didn't have body wash or shampoo or conditioner. I think it's just one of those things on the checklist that's like pretty low compared to like the actual cleaning of the room. And I get that they have to turn over so many rooms, but then like, I don't know. It is really frustrating, like after a long theme park day to come back and shower and be like, pump, 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 pump. Oh, there's nothing. There's just no body wash here.
So if you're traveling down to Walt Disney, maybe pack some travel size body washes because you can't really rely on these things to be refilled, at least at this point in time.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely just use shampoo as body wash. No shame. This next one I believe we probably mentioned in our characters video recap, but we did do Enchanted Tales with Belle for the first time ever. You get to see Belle in her like beautiful ball gown. Like it's a very different experience than meeting Belle at Epcot. It also is an attraction. Like it takes quite a lot of time, probably 15-20 minutes. So you're spending a good chunk of time doing this thing. And then I was under the impression I would get to meet Belle. And I think if normal operations, it sounds like I probably would have. They had run into some technical difficulties or were running behind. So I think like everyone got cut short to the point where like, the character attendant cast member was like cutting off kids from talking to Belle. So naturally, like I'm not gonna get to talk to Belle. But that was definitely a bummer for me. And I do feel like, I understand that I guess they need to catch up, but then, they're cutting guest experience short because of a failure on their end, which is disappointing.
Yeah, it was disappointing for sure. Maybe don't rope drop that and get a fast pass in the future.
Yeah, we did go to the first showing to try to minimize our time in line for the experience. But yeah, they couldn't open like right on time. So I think we got the short end of the stick a little bit. And larger than just Enchanted Tales with Belle, I generally try to rope drop characters. I think it's a more efficient use of our time. But oh my gosh, this trip, everyone and their mom was late. Like no one could show up on time. Like, you know, Moana didn't ride her wave in on time. Alice was busy at her tea party. She lost track of time. Like, everyone was so late. And I don't know if, you know, spoilers breaking the magic wall here. I don't know if their clock starts like as soon as they leave their dressing room and they have to walk a super far way. But in Epcot, I saw the same character attendant a couple of mornings when we did this, and he was so annoyed. Like, I kind of don't think that their clock starts when they leave their seat. I think it probably is supposed to start on set or like close to set. And yeah, he had to go fetch people after it was like 7 minutes past. And these are half-hour sets, right?
Yeah.
So like, you're not even out here 5, 6, 7 minutes in. That's a bunch of guests that you're not getting to. And for the most part, I was first or close to first in line. I knew that I wasn't gonna get cut off in the back, so that's fine, but I do feel bad for people who are gonna get cut off in the back. And just generally, like, I don't know what's the holdup. It's, you know, in that case, it's not a technical issue. It's not a ride malfunction. It's not a safety thing. It's just like, okay, we need to try a little bit harder, if you ask me. If any of you know more secrets as to why character friends may be super late, if there is a really good, reasonable, like, logical explanation, I would love to be enlightened, because otherwise it just did like really grind my gears throughout the trip. And speaking of things going down, during our Epcot extended evening hours night, we did get a Guardians of the Galaxy virtual queue at the 6 p.m. drop, so 4 during the extended evening hours, which is 9 to 11, so it's only 2 hours. It's really not a long period of time. So we get to the park and we go to do Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, and we're sitting there and we're waiting, and then they're like, oh, it's a pause. They have their fun space words. I forget what it is, but anyway, they're like, please hold on. So then we're sitting and we're waiting, and by the time they finally call it and we get out, we like snake out for guest recovery, because we were pretty close to the front, which means you're in the back for guest recovery. It had been like a full half hour, and that's a half hour of your 2-hour time during extended evening hours for us to like not even get on the ride.
And it's one of the few things in that area of the park that you want to be doing during extended evening hours. So there's another 15-minute walk to our next thing we wanted to do. So it was like 45 minutes down the drain before we got to do anything. They did give us a free pass to come back, but just was really crappy.
Yeah, I mean, the guest recovery was appropriate, and that this happened at night, right? So it was a free pass to come back tomorrow, the next day, for Guardians or a bunch of other rides, but like not Rise of the Resistance. There were a couple excluded ones, but you could use it almost anywhere. And we did use it on Guardians. But we did kind of have to like shuffle our plans a little bit, because the next day we weren't planning really on being in Epcot for a significant period of time. And we're like, okay, well, but we want to do the Guardians. And then also we got Conga on that ride, which I know it's like random, but it is annoying to get not only a song that we've had before, but also what I think is probably one of the worst songs on like a guest recovery situation. So I don't know. I mean, it can always happen, of course, but when you're there for extended evening hours for such a short period of time, to spend more than a quarter of that time to get nothing done effectively, that's a bummer. Switching gears a little bit, we did spend quite a few evenings outside of the park, so we were able to do fireworks viewings from different places. And a lot of people really love watching the fireworks from the Polynesian beach, and so we made that a priority to do, and I don't get it. I don't understand what you guys love about that.
I understand that the beach chairs are comfy, the beach sand is fun, but not for watching fireworks.
It's like not a good view in my opinion. It's far away, the angle's weird. The internet let me down. It's rare, I think, for me to see something that's like such high consensus of like Disney fans loving something and me being like, wow, I would really never go out of my way to do this again. Personal taste, of course. If you love it, I'm really happy for you. But for me, that's a contemporary Bay Lake Tower, Grand Floridian Marina situation. And while I am so glad that character meet and greets are back more or less in their full glory with, you know, a few additions, subtractions, etc., they really have cut down cavalcades and character flotillas like an extraordinary amount. There's basically almost none. I think there's 2 cavalcades a day now. I'm sure that'll change, but it's very limited. And then the flotillas, I don't know the official schedule, but they're quite infrequent. And that was such a nice like atmospheric thing during more when they were on COVID operations, where there just kind of were more characters around. And the cavalcades I thought were super nice because it's not the pressure of a parade. You know, it's not get there 35 minutes early to get a decent spot. It's like a cute little thing that goes by. You can just catch it. You can see some of your favorites. And I just don't know I mean, it's got to be operations and cost, right? Is why they're not doing it anymore. But it is a bummer. I mean, I thought that they really added a lot of life to the parks that now feels like it's missing.
Yeah, there's got to be some economic reason to why that's happening. But yeah, those were nice. I'm definitely gonna miss them.
For a while, it seemed like they were still running quite a lot of cavalcades, even though character meet and greets were coming back, and that's definitely just decreased dramatically. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see one or none like forever in the near future. I don't know. I guess I just yearn for the Disneyland model of like more characters all the time, and it's just not the reality at Disney World. On one of our off days from the theme parks, we did make a stop over at the Disney Character Warehouse. So this is the outlet. And I knew that this was the case, but I forgot how stressful it was. Parking there is heinous. It's so stressful. We went like midday on a Thursday, and it was slammed. So just be prepared for like a pretty stressful event if you're gonna drive yourself. If you take an Uber, I assume that's fine. But oh my gosh, like there was a point with which we were laughing and I was like, let's just go. Like it's just not even worth it.
Well, we eventually found the space and made it in, and then also just how slammed it is. You can barely move inside. And again, this is midday on a Thursday.
Yeah, the inside of the Character Warehouse is also extremely stressful and chaotic. Not to the point where people are like grabbing things out of your hands, but you know, if you're at a round rack of clothes, like going through them, someone will be like right up next to you. Like just because they have to be looking at the same thing as you. I don't know. It's intense. I do have a little gaggle of nieces and nephews now, so it's a very economical way for me to go get gifts for them, which I guess maybe makes it worth it, but you need strong mental fortitude to make it through that experience. This was our first trip since we've been official Disney Vacation Club members, so we now qualify for all of the membership perks, extras, discounts, whatever. I'm pretty pro the resale market. Obviously, we are full members, so I feel like, you know, it's easy for me to say that now, but just keep listening. So first, we didn't go to the Epcot Lounge at all. It was only open like 11 to 6, which I guess is a decent chunk of the theme park day, but that's also just when we're the busiest, honestly.
Exactly, yeah.
Like I was over there at like 9:30 and 10:30, and I thought, oh, I'll just pop into the lounge, and nope, just kidding. So didn't use that at all. Like a perk that's totally worthless if you can't go when it's open. We did use the food discount a few times. That was nice, but it certainly doesn't add up to be a super meaningful amount of money. And then one of the perks we were looking forward to was Top of the World Lounge, which we did go to the Top of the World Lounge, but there was zero checking, zero enforcement. Like you could have been a rando off the street and gone up there and they'd be none the wiser.
Yeah, they were very much of the situation. Oh, how many are in your party? Okay, you'll be sitting in 30 minutes after the fireworks. No verification of anything regarding DVC.
Not that you were staying DVC, not that you had a DVC membership card, nothing.
Maybe it was just like the off time or the off shift, but I don't think so.
We went twice and there was no enforcement either time.
So I guess they just try and say it publicly and then wink, wink. People can just do what they want.
Yeah, so we were up there once for fireworks and the guy standing next to me didn't know that there were like projections on the castle. So he's clearly not a DVC member. Maybe he was staying with a DVC member. Yeah. Maybe he's friends with a DVC member. I don't know. But like, dude was definitely not a Disney fan. He had no idea like what Happily Ever After was in the slightest. And look, I think if you're gonna have rules, they just need to be real, is my beef, basically, because there's all these people who are resale members that think that they can't go up there, when the reality is right now, as it was operating when we were there, anyone can go up there. So if it's gonna be an exclusive perk thing, then it actually needs to be enforced. Otherwise, drop the act. We're getting toward the end here, so one of the bigger disappointments for me was we had only planned one in-theme park viewing of Happily Ever After. Seeing the fireworks in the theme park, like right in front of the castle, is probably the best experience in my opinion. But it does also take a lot of time. You have to go get your spot pretty early. You're standing around for like a full hour by the time the fireworks are done, maybe longer. So it's, you know, it hurts my back. I'm getting old. And yeah, our in-park night, Tinkerbell didn't fly, which was
crushing.
Rough.
Yeah. Maybe she didn't show up to work or was sick. I don't know, but Mr. Q and didn't feel like making it up to us. It was just very disappointing because every other time we saw Happily Ever After
from a distance,
Tinkerbell flew.
Yeah, and it was not windy this day. Like it wasn't a weather problem, which one of the other times we saw it from a distance, it was quite windy and she still flew. And so obviously if there's a safety concern, like yes, that's definitely the most important thing, but I can't imagine, unless it was like an equipment malfunction. From the weather, it definitely wasn't a problem. And yeah, it's just like so disappointing to be like, here she's gonna be, you can fly. And then you're just waiting and nothing and nothing. And everyone around us also was like, where's Tinkerbell? Like, it was so bad.
Yeah, everyone around us made it extra funny / sad.
/ horrible.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's such a bummer. It's like, what a pit on the trip of, okay, we didn't get to see Tinkerbell fly. Like that one time we were actually close enough to see her. But I mean, luckily we've seen Happily Ever After before. We'll see it again. So I feel worse for other people who like, that's, once every 10-year trip or whatever, maybe once ever. I think most of it that bothers me is I just don't understand why, because it definitely wasn't weather. So what's the reason, Disney? And last but not least, and definitely the worst, is always other guests. So, minor thing, don't bring your dog to a theme park if it's not a service dog or a service dog in training. I don't understand why this is so complicated for people. Like, it's bad for everyone. Dog's freaking stressed out. Cast members have to do something about it. Like, other guests are annoyed by you. It's bad for everyone, but you. Stop being selfish. And then we just had the worst, ride vehicle full of people that I've ever been on. Ever in my whole life. And hopefully it will never get worse than this when we did our safari ride in the Animal Kingdom. So we're kind of two, I guess, separate incidents. We'll start with the first.
And this was in the same safari experience.
Same safari ride. Like, it just didn't let up with the torture. So the folks in the second to last row had a child who was screaming. And I mean, like, wailing, screaming, pitch, like that blood curdling screaming, like, get me off, let me off, get me off this ride, someone get me off this ride, like.
Yeah, imagine someone's fingernails getting ripped out of their fingers consecutively for 5 minutes.
Many minutes.
That was the level of screams, and it was just sheer terror and anguish and yelling. It was
intense.
Awful.
And here's the other thing is it was very clearly communicated. Like, everyone could understand what this child was saying, and they definitely wanted off the ride. It wasn't like a bumbling, like, we don't know what's going on. Like, everyone knew what was happening. So Adam and I were sat in the front. I don't know exactly how ride ops works, but I gather there is a front load CM and a back load CM, and then the ride vehicle driver. So the back load CM at one point came up, and they all had a little chit chat, and we're like sitting right there, so we can hear most of it. And the back load CM says, the mom says she's not afraid, she's just having a fit and she's fine. And meanwhile, everyone's like, this kid is not fine. And so the driver then rightfully so asked, like, okay, well, what do I do if she's like spooking animals or is like trying to get out of the ride vehicle when we're moving? And, they make their game plan, whatever. Fine. Okay. Then they go back to check the vehicle. So this child was in the second to last row. The people in the last row asked to get out. They didn't want to ride in that ride vehicle. Rightfully so, if you ask me. So the back load CM, said okay, and then the front load CM did the thing to where all the doors open. Those people got out. The child got out at that point. I don't know if it was with a parent or not, but that resolved itself, I guess. I don't know if that's really a happy ending, but okay, fine. So whatever. I think the driver was very relieved to not have to deal with that potential mishap on the ride.
Jeez, yeah.
So we start going. It's mostly fine, but then there's some folks in a couple rows behind us who are just not following rules. And 3 or 4 times our driver had to say, everyone needs to be seated. Kids have to stay seated. They can be seated in your lap, but they have to be seated. So many times, to the point where she literally at one point was like, the boy in the pink shirt needs to sit down. They just would not listen.
And then she said it in Spanish, the boy in the pink shirt needs to sit down. And guess what? He sat down. Yeah,
which I get. But then at the same time, if no one in your party understands enough English or has enough basic sense about being in a moving ride vehicle, what the basic rules are, then that's a problem. This is a safety problem. What happens if the driver doesn't know Spanish or whatever language that you are more comfortable speaking? Why do you need to be told to sit down? That should be obvious if you ask me.
Yeah, I think it was a situation where they understood English, but wanted to get away with breaking the rules by pretending that they couldn't understand English that well.
I don't know. I wouldn't go that far.
I don't know. It was just very much complete disregard to what the cast member was trying to do for everyone's health and safety on a wild ride in the safari.
It was a big party, too. It was 8 people. And you're telling me none of them understand English to know, you have to stay seated, sit down? I don't know. Also, we kind of knew that they were trouble because they actually got assigned, their spot, their row before us. And the cast member told them, rows 2, 3, and 4. And then they, went wherever they wanted.
Yeah.
And she had to correct them. But she corrected them in English, and they went where they were supposed to go. So, yeah, maybe they did know English. I don't know, that was not good. And then that group and others in the car were like constantly making noises at the animals. And our driver again had to be like, don't make kissy noises. There's no whistling at the animals, like multiple times. I'm just like, what is wrong with all of you?
The last thing I want is a lion jumping into my car.
It's just such a lack of basic respect. I don't know, it was really baffling. Like any one of those things happening, I think is pretty bad. And then having them all happen in the same ride vehicle, like, whoa. And I know Disney would never, but in my head, I'm like, let's trespass these people. Like, if you can't follow the rules, like you don't deserve to be here. You're ruining things for other people. And again, it's a safety issue. It was honestly, yeah, like the worst group of people that I've ever been stuck with in Disney. I'm sure that there have been worse people. I'm not saying there haven't been, but for me, that was like a shocker. And I think it just speaks volumes that like the worst things that happen on our vacations are pretty much always other guests. All that's to say is just remember that there's other people there too. They all paid probably the same amount as you to be there. You know, we're all on vacation. We're trying to have a good time. Just be respectful, especially of the cast members. I felt so bad for that driver. That was very stressful for her, I'm sure. So yes, I mean, I think if you're watching this video, in our community, we definitely cultivated, you know, a respectful culture. I know you all go down to the theme parks and are good eggs, but you know, if you're with an extended party of people who maybe don't know the rules as much, just try to whip everybody in shape a little bit.
Yeah, everyone has more fun when people are being respectful and having a good time.
Yeah, and they get to load vehicles faster, which means everybody's line is shorter if everyone's behaving. So it's a win-win. And yeah, mostly just like, let's not make cast members' lives harder than they already are. I think that's my number one here. Overall, of course, we still had a really great vacation. If you watch some of the other recap videos, there are just so many highlights, so many lovely things that happened. Again, it's never gonna be perfect. We never go into vacation expecting it'll be perfect. I would never have guessed I'd be in a ride vehicle quite like this, even with my low expectations, but you know, that's how it goes sometimes. Just gotta roll with the punches.
Anytime you go to a theme park, you're gonna be dealing with lots of people, whether that be cast members or other guests. More often than not, people who don't show any respect to the rules or to others just brings down the whole vibes of the trip. And I think that's kind of what happened in this safari, all on one occasion, which was pretty wild to me and wild to us. I'm sure the animals didn't enjoy it either. And yeah, just be a good egg and everyone's gonna have a lot more fun. It was just very shocking, just the dismissive nature of those parents of that child screaming and those parents or guardians of the children who were not following any of the rules, when clearly they knew the rules but just didn't care, or knew their child was having a bad time but just didn't care. And it just really soured everyone's whole experience of being in the animal kingdom that day.
Yep, so, you know, get through it, try to laugh it off. I, you know, tried to remain grateful that I wasn't any of the cast members dealing with these people.
Seriously.
And then when you get off the ride, when they go left, you go right. You just avoid them for the rest of the day.
Exactly, yeah.
We don't like to dwell on the negative by any means, but I think we like to be realistic. You know, bad things are gonna happen, less than optimal things are gonna happen. Other guests are gonna be terrible people sometimes. I wish that wasn't true. Unfortunately, it just is, and I think we got a pretty short end of that stick this trip, at least for that one incident. Hopefully your vacations go smoother than ours, but again, go in with realistic expectations. It won't be perfect. If you do have any stories that, you know, in hindsight, with the benefit of time, are kind of funny, they're so terrible they're funny, we would love to hear about that in the comments down below. Otherwise, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate your support. We hope you found this amusing, delightful, informative, something like that. May the rest of your day be magical. We'll see you real soon at Pixie Dust PhD.
Bye.